All right, guys, I'm excited about this episode because I'm about to teach you what women physicians are not taught when it comes to money and how to create money. And that is leading us to be trapped, to be broke, and not having the financial freedom that we could have. So get ready because this episode is one that you probably will need to listen to more than one time because there's going to be so much value. And if you can learn what I teach on this episode and actually take it even one step further and put it into action by listening to the instructions I give you at the end, this one episode has the potential to change every single thing for you. If I have not met you, I'm Dr. Latifat. I'm a GI doctor and I'm also a money and freedom coach for women physicians. I literally help women learn how to have money, learn how to take their income and turn it into wealth, and also how to create their rich life. That way they can have the freedom to be able to create the life of impact that they are here to create. All right, so y'all better be ready for this episode because it's gonna be good. Sorry, y'all. It's gonna be seriously, it's gonna be good, and I'm super duper excited about it because this is one of those things where I'm like, if you think about the state of medicine today, more physicians than ever burn out. I believe 1 in 3 physicians, maybe it's like 2 in 3 physicians. I have to check that data out because I haven't looked at it recently. Said if given a choice, they will leave medicine. So if you're not a physician, you may not understand the gravity of that. We spent forever training. We're in school. We sacrificed finances, time with family, relationship, anniversaries. We sacrificed health, everything for physicians, for being a physician. And we did not do it so that we can earn a lot of money, even though that is a worthy cause. We do it because we want to serve people. We want to serve. Okay? However, there's so much burnout in medicine that if you think about how many physicians are burned out because they feel trapped in medicine, it would be crazy. I think I literally should do a survey that says, do you feel trapped in medicine? Yes or no? And actually see what people have to say because I think the data is going to be staggering. However, when I think about the fact that the reason why people feel trapped is, and you can think about it like any relationship, is the situation may be bad, but you find it familiar enough that you're afraid, unwilling, or think you're unable to take the risk of experiencing something that may not feel familiar. Okay, that's one. But many times people are also like, if my finances could change, if I could earn money outside of medicine, I would be able to take a break, take a pause, figure out what I want to do, and not feel trapped. My goal is not for physicians to exit an exodus out of medicine. That's not my goal. However, people being forced to do what they don't want to do is also, in my opinion, not a moral thing for us to do. When you have the freedom to leave a relationship and decide you want to stay, that is freedom. That by itself, that power of choice will decrease your rate of burnout like significantly, right? And so part of this is being able to learn the principle that will help you earn money outside of medicine, potentially, if that's what you want. But the other part of this is also earning inside of medicine. You know, I talk about disparities in finances and money and wealth gap that exists. And I'm also a huge proponent of not accepting the first offer. I know that we're more likely to be underpaid for doing the same job as our male counterpart. Not their fault, but it's the disparities and the racism, the sexism, and all those other things about discrimination that is sometimes subconscious, right? So if I'm here teaching y'all and saying I want you to make sure you ask for what you should be getting paid, it is with the understanding that you learn what I'm about to teach you here today. Okay, are you guys ready? Okay, so this is important. And anytime I talk to people that are in administrative positions, and if you talk to even physicians that are in administration, they will tell you that the administratives think that physicians don't understand money. They don't understand the business of money. We think about patient care and us only and nobody else. And I think there may be an element of truth to it because sometimes we in administration, we're like they're speaking Spanish, we're speaking French. Like we're just speaking different languages. And sometimes when we actually can come together and talk, we realize that we are actually both speaking. There's like intersection, into whatever, like the Venn diagram. There's like an intersection. Okay, all right, okay. ESL problems coming up. Anyways, y'all know what I'm talking about. There is that overlap. I'll use overlap between what we actually do want. So my point is, I want physicians to be able to thrive. I want you to be able to thrive. I want you to be able to get paid what you want to get paid. I want you to be seen as a valued member of the team. And I want you to know that even if your clinical income was not a thing, you would be well. And for some of you guys, the point is to be able to increase. And I always talk about increasing the strength of your active income so they can pour that into investing, paying off debt, living life, and doing all those things. It just gets you the journey faster when you have more, fresh powder to deal with. So that thing that I do want to teach you is like value. Okay, all right. Value is the topic that you should have been taught, but nobody taught you. The only time we hear about value is usually in a negative way, where we're like, you may have like Medicare patients that have their payment plans or payment for different things that they're getting to be able to get their care in almost like a package, right? But there is another aspect to value that many of us don't quite understand, okay? If you want to earn money, let's just forget about the work. Let's forget about all that. At the very foundational level, the way you earn money is by giving value. The way you earn money is by giving value. And what do I mean by giving value? And actually, what do I mean by value? Okay? Value, if you look at the definition, is something that is of worth for a price or for an amount. It has to be of worth. Someone has to be on the other side, say that this is of value. I perceive it as value. It means something. So for example, if you're selling ice or if you're selling snow or ice actually in the middle of a snowstorm, it is not of value. So people are not going to appreciate it. But if you're selling ice in the middle of like 120-degree weather, like we just experienced recently, I didn't check it, but it felt like 120. So we were on a road trip. Sidetrack, real quickly. We're on a road trip. And we drove in Northern California to Southern California. And on our way back with the kids, we're like, it was such a good time. We had a great time. We spent time with family. We spent time by ourselves. We went to some of my favorite spots and all this other stuff. And so as we were doing this coming back, we're like, okay, let's take a stop and pause and find something to eat. And so I was like, let's find a Nigerian restaurant. So we searched for a Nigerian restaurant, went into the Nigerian restaurant. So, okay, this is not related to what we're talking about, but let's just hang with me for a second. And then I'll bring it back home. I walked in and guess who I saw there? I see one of my cousins in the middle of nowhere. They don't live there. Random restaurant that we decided to stop by because I was like, let's get food. But it was in Fresno. And Fresno was hecka hot. It was like 100 and something degrees. That just reminded me. So imagine if I was selling ice or ice cold water or ice cream out on the streets in Fresno, I was going to sell out like that. Because there was perceived value, there would be perceived value because your kids are like, it's hot. I know how kids are. It's hot. Like as if they've never been in heat before, right? But like the bottom line is now that is going to be perceived as being useful. And so that is what is perceived as value. And then when I thought about what does actually useful mean, useful means that to be used for a practical purpose. So if you want to make money, you have to be someone that becomes good at seeing value. Seeing value, which means being able to do an actual act, a matter of action that is perceived to be useful by the recipient that has the money, your money in their pocket, that by the recipient that they're willing to give to you in exchange for this useful act that you've performed either actively or indirectly. actively or passively. And when I say value, I think it's important to separate between our internal versus external value. Listen, your value as a human is 100%, was 100% the moment you were born. This is not about a like performance, what you do. You're just, you have breath. Your innate, internal, intrinsic value is at 100%. Let's just stop that right. Like it's 100. I don't care what your mama said. I don't care what the neighbor said. I don't care what your friend said. I don't care about your failure. The bottom line is this is just an internal thermometer that cannot be shut down. That is your intrinsic value is 100%. The moment God was like, let there be, you were brought breath into you. You were of value. And then now there's the extrinsic value, which is what we're talking about. So your intrinsic value, your person of worth, your person of value, you are not less than the people that society has said hierarchically are above you. No, you are not less than them. Intrinsically, your intrinsic value, you are worth as a human being is the same as mine and yours, right? So we're talking about extrinsic value here, meaning that what are you able to do, an action that is useful, that is helpful, so that someone would say, thank you, I'm going to pay you. Okay, so now that we have that understanding, let's now go back to clinical medicine and see where some of the frustrations has been happening. For so many of us, when we think about admin and the hospital system, we think about only some pieces of the value, but not every piece of the value. We think about the value we're giving the patients, right? But we don't necessarily think of the value that we're giving to the person that's keeping the light on. Yes, the patients are paying, but there is someone that is responsible, like the accounting, the business part of things, that makes the light on. And regardless of how amazing you are, if they shut down, they have no value to anybody at all. So many times we're thinking about our patients, but we're not thinking about that other side. And there are going to be times when our values do not align, when the way we want to express the value does not align. So for example, if somebody wants you to see 30 patients in a day, that just not make sense. And there are organizations that waste money, that pay too many admins. If you look at the curve, a friend sent me this curve, which I'd seen before, but it's always crazy to see it. If you see the growth of administrative staff over the last couple of decades compared to like physicians and nurses, it is staggering. And you're like, how about we just wipe out 50% of this positions administrative wise so that we can just have less leaks in the money? Like, why are there so many figureheads in medicine and in healthcare? So that's another topic for another day. But I'm talking specifically about the fact that if you want to thrive, if you want to be perceived as being a giver or creator of useful actions for the purpose of, the people that are paying, then you have to think about what are the actions that are going to be perceived as useful from their perspective, right? Again, we're not talking about abusive, people here. We're talking about reasonable work environments. I wish someone had explained this to me too, to be honest, because when I was in residency, I would get really mad about all those messages by the billers saying, make sure you're billing appropriately, make sure you're coding appropriately. But if I did not do that, the hospital was going to shut down and not be able to do the things that it needed to do. So if I actually think about creating value for the hospital, then I would have been more patient to learn how to do those at that time, so that I can help them, help patients, and help me. And it can be the symbiotic relationship where we all get to benefit. But that was not the case. I did not understand that. So keep that in mind. The other thing to keep in mind as well is we'll make the mistake of thinking that value is about quantity of time. But you have to understand that it's not always that way. It's not always quantity of time. Sometimes it can be quality of time. So again, it's not always about quantity of time. Sometimes it can be quality of time, as defined by the person that is receiving what I'm considering to be a useful action. So for example, if I am, one of my friends was talking about how she had a really rough day at work and she went to go get a massage. It was a massage or some sort of like physical body therapy. And she said she was scheduled for 30 minutes and she was in so much distress that the woman that was giving her this therapy, physical body therapy of some sort, ended up increasing the time by 2. So it was 30 minutes. She ended up doing 60 minutes. In that specific regard, The quantity of the time was helpful. If she was not doing anything helpful, it doesn't matter if she did it for 40 hours, right? The quality would be more important than the quantity. So if someone goes, I can massage you for 3 minutes and you get all the relief you want, I'm like, yeah, please sign me up, right? But if I maybe nap during the massage, I'm like, no, I don't want a 3 minute massage. And I do fall asleep during the massages. I'm like, I don't want 3 minutes. I want like 30, 60 minutes. I can snore a little bit, right? So again, I define whether it's quantitative or qualitative. And that's why there are times when some patients are like, get me in and out here, doctor. Like when I was when I was pregnant and seeing my OB, I'm like, how fast can we do this? Like the shorter and done, the better, right? So understanding that it is in the eyes of the beholder. And there are times when we may not be able to provide that value. And that's why we need to have boundaries and also understand ourselves, right? If someone goes see 40 patients in one day, I don't care what kind of value, like there's a mismatch here. And now the question becomes, okay, I know that you want to keep your overhead, you want to be able to survive. Can we be a fit better with our billing and our coding? Like what else can we do to make sure that we're providing value in a way that makes sense to other parties without us grinding and being killed, pretty much, which is what sometimes happens. So the more you understand value, the more you're going to be not afraid of how you earn, because you know that all you have to do is go find problems, create solutions, take the action, and someone will pay you. Some of my members have heard me say things like, you know, I would always earn. I'm happy. I mean, as physicians, how many of you guys would want someone to come transport your kids from point A to point B so that you can safely do the things that you want to do? Like I would be your house manager in a second if I have to. If I'm desperate enough, I'm not saying that I am, but you get my point, because I know what is valuable to you, and you would go. I mean, that's why people are like, oh my goodness, I pay my nanny like get paid, and I hand my nanny the entire money, because you see the value that they've given you, right? And so you choosing to pay them in that regard. So just keep that in mind. Other specific examples. So part of the value that I give, part of the value that I create is I help women physicians learn how to take the income they're earning right now and help them turn that income into wealth through investment, through learning how to invest, through learning wealth principles that will never go away, right? That is a value that I create. So if you're someone that you want that, you know that, okay, Latifat helps me with this, it's going to create this value. And then I pay her in exchange for the value that I know she's going to create it. How do I know she's going to create the value? She's created it for other women physicians like me. So I know that as long as I follow the process, this is going to work, right? I help women physicians learn how to understand the lingos of money so that they can sit down in conversations confidently without being afraid that someone's going to find out that they have low financial literacy. That's a value that I'm giving you. I'm going to help you feel like a boss. And when you feel like a boss, what are you going to do? You're going to live life well. You're going to be more confident. You'll be able to teach your kids about money, build generational wealth, be able to walk with confidence at work so that you can hopefully get a promotion or at least get paid for the work that you're already doing. You can see how the value that I'm giving you is the reason why you pay me with your time, with your money in exchange for the value. And I always tell people I want to give more value than what you're paying me. So my goal is when people are in my world, I want them to get 10x. When I'm working clinically, I want to give them more value in return. I want to be so excellent that they're like, oh my goodness, Lashika, we're sad to see you go. And this is not a brag, but I will be honest with you. Like when I quit my work last year and traveled, it was heartbreaking, not just for me only, but for my colleagues, for our staff, for my patients. And not because I'm a perfect doctor. I'm not perfect. I don't even read my patient satisfaction score, like whatever. But the bottom line is that I've given value. And so the loss of that value is a loss. And that if you start to think about that and find where is the value, how can I create the value, and how do I get paid? How do I give the value to people that can pay me so that I can get paid in exchange for the value that I'm creating? Does that make sense? The other way, another example is how I create value for women in my program is in the money school is I've had people that came in that may already know about money. They already know money. They're already investing. They already have 7-figure net worth, multiple 6-figure net worth. And they're like, Latifat, but I want to create an uncommon life. I want to be able to live a courageous life where I can travel, where I can diversify my income source, where I can be able to say yes to the things that my life is calling me to. And I need a coach and a mentor that has weathered storms and done crazy things and courageous moves that will help me curate my own uncommon life, right? So what they get, the value that I'm giving them is the ability to be able to walk them through that process of creating an uncommon life. And in exchange for that value, they give me money. So if we start to train our eyes and our minds to, it changes everything. More examples, because, and I'm giving you guys these examples because I really wanted to like spark your own thinking. I got an email literally a couple of days from a woman physician inside of our money school. Actually, I got multiple messages in the last week, and I'm not making it up. One of them was like, Latifat, it has been such an honor being in your community. Ever since I've met you, my life has changed. And she said, I'm seeing opportunities that I never saw before. Why? Because she's learned value. I want you to be so good at seeing value, finding value, that you are not afraid of the recession. You're not afraid of what happens if your income gets cut off. You're not afraid of transient ups and downs on the stock market. Another example, which may be important for those of you guys that have kids. My kids, people talk about like, let's teach the kids how to do like stock and all that. That's fine. That's all good. However, the principles that they will never lose are the most important things. And one of the things that I'm teaching my kids, it's a work in progress, is how to see value and how to create value. Because I believe that that's more important than anything else I can teach them. So when we're taking walks in our community, in our neighborhood, there are people that have like a bunch of trees. So orange trees, they don't get eaten. Many of them don't get harvested. And then as the season is ending, they start to fall, start to rot on the ground. And so I told my kids, guys, you can see there's a problem. The problem is people are not harvesting the oranges. It's falling to the ground. It's decaying, right? And if you're getting a bunch of oranges on the floor, it's going to start attracting, rats and animals and all this other stuff, right? And so how can we make it so that you can, like, how do you create value? How do you go help? And we haven't done this, but this is just an example. I mean, people do things like lemonade stand, which there's nothing wrong with lemonade stand, but I'm just like, really? There's nothing wrong with lemonade stand. I'm not judging your kids' lemonade stand. So don't send me an email saying, my kids, no, I'm not judging your kids. I'm just saying there are other ways too. But learning how to see, create value. So what I told them was, how amazing would it be to create little cards, send them out into the neighborhood, or drop them in the mailbox with an instruction for them to text us if they're interested. And it's like, I have seen that you have orange tree and you may be having difficulty harvesting all of them. Would it be helpful if I came harvest them? Just let me know the time and we can come with our parents, harvest them, and we will sell it. And they can go even further. They can sell it and keep the money. And then now out of the money that they've created, be able to like save some, spend some, and be able to give some. Do you see what I mean? That's why kids do things like mowing the lawn. Like get good at seeing value, find the problem, create a solution for people, like a useful action that somebody will pay you for. And the beautiful part about thinking about it this way is the ego goes out of the window. I mean, I literally told you, I'll come watch your kids. I'll watch your kids if it comes to that. Like, ego's not talking, right? Because the bottom line is, if I'm not worrying about my own ego, if I'm not worrying about ego, I get to focus on you. And when I focus on you, you will win, I will win. And that, my darlings, is how you do money. And this has worked for us with Socksy Doc. Imagine walking around with comfortable socks that feel so good, like a hug on your feet, and with empowering words like, that's Dr. Badass to you, on your feet. And literally my cousin was telling me that something different happens when she wears those socks. The value that I'm creating. And as an exchange for that, you pay for it. I do that in the money school for women physicians. I already gave you guys some specific examples. If you're interested, you can text the message in the show notes on how you can receive your free one-on-one consultation call with one of our team members. You've also seen we do that in real estate, whether that's active real estate or passive real estate, right? We're providing value for our tenants, providing a safe home. These are things that we explain to our kids. We're providing safe, clean home, respectful customer service. And in exchange for that, our people are able to pay us what is market value, and they stay year in, year out. We do the same thing with short-term rentals. We do the same thing with, if you think about even like bond, what is bond? You're borrowing the government or large company money. You're providing value for them, and in exchange, you're getting an interest rate. Credit cards, that's why they charge you an interest rate. That's the money you're paying them back, because they gave you something, that they did an action of letting you take their money, and in exchange for it, you're paying them in terms of like interest rate. If you're a hard money lender, you're doing that for others as well. They have a need, they have a project they want to work on that they may lose if they don't have money. You give them your money, and in exchange for that, they give you interest. I hope this is making sense. If you can do one thing for yourself, it would be this, because if you can learn how to start practicing, noticing problem solutions, and think of the value that you create, you will never have to worry about income ever again. And you would never have to worry or feel trapped in medicine. And the beautiful thing is, you also can strengthen your own active income and make yourself less dispensable than most physicians. I hope this has been helpful for you. If it has been, please share this widely. I want more women to get this. So text them the link, leave us a review or a comment on the same platform you're listening to. I'm here to serve. It's been such an honor and a privilege being with you. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.